Fans of Pawn Stars have often wondered, why is every negotiation so dramatic? Does Rick really know that much about every item? And what's with all those Subway references? As it turns out, not everything you see on the show is real. What you see is not always what you get when it comes to how the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop is portrayed on Pawn Stars. While the show depicts it as a typical pawn shop through carefully crafted camera angles and scenes, the actual operation differs significantly. Since its successful debut in 2009, the shop has transformed into a popular tourist attraction in the Las Vegas area.
They're watching us talk. That's your public.
That's my public.
To cater to and capitalize on the influx of tourists, the shop has undergone multiple expansions, both in terms of staff and physical size. This expansion includes the addition of a gift shop for show merchandise. Surprisingly, the merchandise sold in-store has become a more prominent selling point than the actual sale of artifacts and antiques. Big sellers like cast bobbleheads and t-shirts can also be bought off the shop's official website. On TripAdvisor, viewers who have visited the shop in person have described running into long lines of anticipated sightseers rather than actual pawners looking to make a sale. In fact, only 1 out of every 100 visitors is actually there for the shop's pawning services. Shop manager Travis Benton told the Las Vegas Review-Journal, "Once inside, many visitors reported being surprised by the shop's relatively small size compared to what they're used to seeing on screen. When it comes to filming, only approved extras and sellers are allowed inside the store during the show's production, dispelling the illusion that the background shoppers are unsuspecting randos." Fans of Pawn Stars have also proposed a compelling theory, suggesting that a significant portion of the show is filmed on a set rather than the actual shop. While this claim remains speculative and lacks outright confirmation, it begins to make more sense once you dive into the observations made by fans. That said, it's probably safe to assume that the show is probably filmed both in the actual shop as well as on a set. Here's why. When comparing screenshots from the show with photos taken by those who have visited the real-life shop, a writer for Vital Vegas noticed the physical store and its on-screen representation exhibit a number of differences. Another user on Reddit captured a screenshot from an episode that appears to reveal a fake hallway in the background. These details prompted the theory that the show's creators may have constructed a separate set to mimic the iconic pawn shop. If these assumptions are accurate, it opens a window into the behind-the-scenes decisions made by Pawn Stars producers. Constructing a dedicated set affords the production team greater control over the filming environment. Filming then wouldn't need to disturb the actual shop's business hours, especially as the site has become more and more busy with the show's continued rise in popularity. On Pawn Stars, not just anyone is allowed to walk through the shop doors on the show with something to sell. Before anyone can appear on camera, sellers and their items must go through a vetting process with producers to ensure that the items are TV-worthy and that the sellers are camera-ready. This process includes producers actively seeking out potential sellers who possess intriguing or unique items. This may involve reaching out to individuals who have contacted the show expressing an interest in selling. It's not just about the monetary value of the items, but also about the historical, cultural, or personal stories behind them. The producers are also looking for sellers who are not only willing to part with their possessions, but are also comfortable and engaging on camera. Salesman Rocco Landi shared with the Las Vegas Review-Journal about rare instances on the show when segments had to be cut entirely because sellers couldn't pull it together on camera. By carefully curating the items and ensuring that the sellers are camera-ready, the production team can optimize the overall viewer experience. This planning helps prevent any dull or uninteresting moments, ensuring that each episode remains engaging and full of surprises. The burning question on everyone's mind: is Pawn Stars scripted? How else could Rick Harrison possibly know every historical detail of every item on the spot?
I'm a bookworm. I'm an early bookworm. I mean, I read for hours every night.
The idea that the cast might be reciting lines verbatim could shatter the illusion of reality in reality TV. Fortunately for those who savor the show's perceived authenticity, Pawn Stars doesn't adhere to a strict script. Well, at least not entirely. Rather than the cast delivering pre-written lines, the show maintains a semblance of spontaneity. The absence of scripted dialogue doesn't mean, however, that the production is devoid of guidance. On set, there are members of the crew whom executive producer Brent Montgomery refers to as scripters. According to his interview with Odyssey, their role involves strategically feeding facts to the cast members and shaping the show's narrative in real time. The scripters do this by orchestrating the flow of conversations and interactions to infuse just the right amount of drama, information, and entertainment. Of course, this form of manipulation isn't exclusive to Pawn Stars. Rather, it's a common practice in the production of all reality TV. While the genre is grounded in capturing real-life situations and exchanges, the need for engaging content often prompts producers and writers to shape narratives to some extent. The balance between authenticity and entertainment often involves a delicate dance of behind-the-scenes planning and editing to ensure the final cut resonates with viewers. If you've ventured into a pawn shop before, you'll know the experience differs significantly from what is portrayed on Pawn Stars. Because of the show's careful vetting process for all sellers and their items, the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop is one of the few shops where you can encounter such rare and valuable items. This glamorous aspect of pawning, depicted in Pawn Stars, isn't a true reflection of the typical pawn shop experience and serves obvious entertainment purposes. Unlike in Pawn Stars, where only the most unique and valuable items make their way into the shop, most pawn shops deal with smaller, everyday items. They also offer financial assistance to those facing temporary financial challenges. In the real world of pawn shops, the focus is on providing a practical service to the community. These establishments play a crucial role in helping people navigate financial difficulties by accepting a wide range of items as collateral for short-term loans. According to Investopedia, loans are the chief source of income for most American pawn shops, as they take an item as collateral, usually with a higher interest rate than you'd find in a bank. The kinds of people who frequent pawn shops are not necessarily the avid collectors you see on Pawn Stars either. One pawn shop employee told Vice Poland, "No one pawns their possessions to buy books, but many do so to buy a flask of vodka and cigarettes." The most commonly pawned items include jewelry, but also power tools, electronics, and music or sports equipment. So these items aren't exactly the extraordinary artifacts viewers are used to seeing on Pawn Stars. Considering how pre-planned and controlled everything is on the set of Pawn Stars, it's reasonable to speculate that certain negotiation outcomes are either predetermined or steered by producers seeking optimal entertainment. The potential behind-the-scenes coaching becomes apparent once you start picking up on the show's consistent and predictable interactions between sellers and the pawn shop. There appears to be a distinct approach to the negotiation process that suggests a pre-established framework. However, the existence of this framework doesn't necessarily imply scripted exchanges. More likely, the cast of skilled negotiators adhere to this refined formula, knowing it'll get them the best deal. When explaining the production dynamics, executive producer Brent Montgomery told Odyssey, "I did tell them initially to try and buy the stuff, even if they didn't want it. Sometimes," he said, "sales are orchestrated for the show." Montgomery added, "If we had a show where they never bought anything, it wouldn't work well. The same goes for the sellers." Montgomery continued, "Off camera, we have to make sure that these people will actually sell the stuff at a reasonable price. Otherwise, they're just trying to be on TV. We figured that out fairly quickly." The nail-biting negotiations on Pawn Stars are arguably the show's most theatrical and engaging scenes, and we wouldn't have it any other way. With each party trying to get the best deal, the haggling creates tension and excitement for viewers, eagerly anticipating whether a deal will be struck, or if there will be a surprising turn of events.
Because this is a pawn shop and no one is going to come in here and pay me what I'm asking. They never do.
If you're hoping to run into your favorite cast members during a visit to the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, you may need to think again. Contrary to what's depicted in Pawn Stars, the main shop staff, Rick, Corey, and Chumley, aren't the ones working behind the counter when the cameras aren't rolling. The difference between reality and the show's portrayal of the trio as the front-facing figures of the establishment stems from a combination of practical and logistical considerations. In reality, running a pawn shop requires meticulous attention to detail and includes handling various transactions and dealing with a diverse clientele. The cast members, with their celebrity status and associated commitments, may find it challenging to dedicate substantial time to the daily grind of running the counter. Specifically, the shop's official website cites busy schedules and, more importantly, Nevada privacy laws as the reasons why you won't find your favorites working at the shop. These Nevada privacy laws protect the confidentiality of customers who pawn items. Not having the main cast working during hours helps protect the inadvertent exposure of customers' identities and their personal items. However, if you're lucky, the trio will make occasional appearances for photos and autographs. But if you don't want to rely on luck, the shop's website also states you're much more likely to run into the cast next door at Pawn Plaza. In yet another instance that Pawn Stars manipulates reality, one shop visitor who served as an extra on the show shared his experience online via Quora. This person provided a first-hand account of how meticulous TV production can be. According to the extra's testimony, a single scene underwent an hour of shooting, involving multiple takes and reshoots. He said that production sent everyone but 12 approved extras out of the store. The participants were given specific instructions to maintain the show's perceived authenticity, remain silent, and avoid direct eye contact with the camera while browsing the shop. This directive aligns with claims made in a Vital Vegas article and earlier revelations from salesman Rocco Landi. Landi told the Las Vegas Review-Journal that real-life individuals appearing on the show are often coached to enhance their on-screen presence. Furthermore, the extra claimed the negotiation process underwent multiple takes and even featured reenactments in the final cut, which only ended up being 5 minutes out of the hour shoot. Ultimately, what viewers witness on TV is not a continuous, unfiltered stream of reality, but a meticulously crafted experience designed for maximum entertainment value. Product placements are a common source of revenue for television shows, as they provide advertisers with a way to reach audiences in a less intrusive manner than traditional commercials. However, when these placements become too overt, they can compromise the genuine and unscripted nature that reality shows are supposed to convey. Such was the case with Pawn Stars and their not-so-subtle branding deal with Subway.
Subway, eat fresh.
If you haven't noticed it yet, pay close attention next time you watch the show to catch all the references to Subway. Some Reddit users have been quick to point out that whenever the guys are hungry, it seems they exclusively opt for a footlong. While they may genuinely enjoy the chain sub sandwich shop, the repeated product placements are unmistakable. Does this make Pawn Stars inherently fake? It depends on who you ask, but it undeniably disrupts the viewer's experience.